Deathworlder strolls barefoot on alien lava fields, claims it feels like home. Arrival of the Deathworlder. Dr. Calyx's bright eyes hadn't blinked in nearly 4 minutes, a long stretch even for a Pharilian with quad-lidded eyes. But here, on the observation deck of Research Station Ortec, they could only watch in bewildered silence as the human scientist, Dr. Maya Rodriguez, made her way across the blistering surface of Pyrox 7 with all the urgency of a leisurely walk. Calyx's translator device whirred as it registered a stream of Pharilian exclamations from the staff around them, their faces pressed against the safety glass, each utterance tinged with shock and disbelief. Pyrox 7 was classified as a Class X Inferno Zone, a world with temperatures that could reach as high as 1,200 Kelvin at ground level, where fields of lava bubbled up like crimson seas. To the Pharilians, a species evolved on a planet of humid jungles and stable climates, Pyrox 7 was the very definition of hell. But to Dr. Rodriguez, she'd laughed when they'd issued her the thermal suit. "Thanks, but I'll be fine," she'd said, her tone casual, almost amused. Calyx's first thought was that perhaps she hadn't understood the danger. Surely, she hadn't truly grasped that the surface temperatures outside could incinerate metal in a matter of hours, that the air itself shimmered with so much residual heat it looked like molten glass. But as she waved off their concern with a grin and strolled out of the airlock, Calyx began to understand. Maya knew, and she wasn't concerned in the slightest. Station Chief, Calyx's assistant, Virene, murmured, her eyes wide with a mixture of awe and alarm. Are all humans this resistant? Calyx exhaled, a pensive rumble emerging from deep within their chest cavity. They say Earth is a death world, but until now, I thought that classification was merely a label. Their eyes refocused on Maya, who had stopped to collect a sample of crystallized rock, her gloved hands making a swift, practiced sweep across the surface. That sample just came out of a vent. Virene's voice was shrill with disbelief. The temperature should be at least 1,000 Kelvin bare minimum. As if to confirm Virene's statement, the heat sensors on the observation deck flashed a warning. Sure enough, the surface temperature in that region had just surged to over 1,050 Kelvin, and there, crouched in the middle of it, Maya calmly scooped another sample into her collection pouch, holding it close to her visor to examine its crystalline structure. Then came her voice, clear and warm over the communicator. "Hey, Calyx, you wouldn't believe it, but this place kinda reminds me of home. Used to do lava field research on Earth. This isn't too far off." Calyx felt their throat tighten in what they identified as an unfamiliar mixture of admiration and trepidation. The scientists who'd worked alongside Maya back on Earth had warned them of her casual fearlessness, how she approached even the most hostile environments with a nonchalance that bordered on reckless. But this went far beyond anything they'd anticipated. Their mind buzzed with questions. They had always studied humans with a sort of clinical detachment, examining Earth's biology reports, its climate conditions, and historical data. The findings were remarkable, but still abstract. Learning that Earth's temperatures sometimes soared high enough to be uncomfortable for its inhabitants was one thing. Seeing a human take comfort in temperatures that could liquefy most forms of Pharilian metal was entirely another. Dr. Rodriguez, Calyx spoke into the communicator, their voice measured and professional, though they were straining to keep it that way. "Are you certain you don't require assistance? The area you're currently surveying is highly volatile." "Volatile? Oh, no worries, Calyx," Maya replied cheerfully, her tone as easy as if she were discussing a morning stroll. "This is actually pretty mild, all things considered. I'll wrap up these samples soon, don't worry." Maya lifted a bare hand. Calyx could barely compute the detail and flicked away some dust from the latest sample. Pyrox 7's surface dust was acidic enough to scar most skin beyond recognition, but she just flicked it off, a grin on her face visible even through her visor. She continued her work methodically, with all the ease of someone running an errand back home. Virene glanced at Calyx, her fronds trembling with agitation. "Chief, she's treating Pyrox 7 like a vacation spot." Calyx nodded slowly, watching as Maya finished her task and straightened up, surveying the landscape with something like fond nostalgia. To her, Pyrox 7 was a curiosity, not a death trap. As she wandered back toward the research station, Maya continued to chat as if she were sharing stories from an old family camping trip. "You know," she said, her voice light, "this reminds me of our big island back on Earth. My team and I once spent weeks hiking through lava tubes there. The sulfur was crazy thick in the air, just like here." Her words floated back into the control room, leaving Calyx and the others momentarily speechless. Pherillian lungs would have collapsed from exposure to Earth's volcanic regions within hours. The alien research team had heard rumors of Earth's so-called adventurous humans, who scaled ice caps, plunged into crushing ocean depths, and apparently strolled through lava fields like they were nothing more than playgrounds. Humans, Calyx murmured, half to themselves, you truly are something else. In the days that followed, Maya's casual defiance of Pyrox 7's environment became the talk of the station. Every Pherillian researcher, engineer, and technician whispered stories of the human who, after each daily expedition, returned to the station with a smile, sometimes casually humming tunes and brushing bits of crystallized rock off her suit as if they were nothing more than sand. Calyx couldn't help but feel a growing respect and a little bit of fear. Humans had always been categorized as Deathworlders by the Galactic Council, but Calyx finally understood why. They were more than just resilient, they seemed to thrive in conditions that would drive any other species to despair. And as Maya prepped for yet another excursion, this time, with a plan to venture deeper into the molten canyons, Calyx found themselves curious, almost eager, to learn what other surprises this human might have in store. Lava canyons and coffee breaks, Dr. Calyx Bright Eyes paced the research station's observation room, keeping all four eyes fixed on the monitor that tracked Maya's progress in real time. The human's telemetry data displayed readings that would have sent most species into panicked calls for immediate evacuation, core temperatures steady, but surface readings at her position registered a spike to over 1,200 Kelvin. Out on the field, Maya navigated the jagged terrain with ease, stopping now and then to pick up rocks glowing with searing heat. Her face, visible through her visor, showed none of the anxiety one would expect from a scientist standing next to rivers of molten lava. Instead, she was smiling almost serenely, as if this were a peaceful stroll. This canyon system is unreal, Calyx, Maya said over the communicator. I'm getting sample readings I've never seen in terrestrial lava flows. I'll bet my first PhD that these crystals have a unique bond structure, maybe even a new mineral family. The word new mineral was enough to pull Calyx out of their spiraling thoughts. They were a researcher, after all, and curiosity stirred beneath the caution. Fascinating, Dr. Rodriguez. The lab scanners have been eagerly awaiting samples, but please be careful. The magnetic readings near that lava flow indicate geological instability. Noted, Maya replied, without the slightest shift in her tone. She took a slow breath, seeming to savor the air's thickness despite the harsh sulfuric scent. To her, the place was captivating, rather than the choking, volatile inferno the Pherillians experienced. Calyx tried to process this peculiar contradiction as Vereen entered the room with a datapad. Chief, we've collected video logs from her previous expeditions, she said quietly, her fronds still showing signs of unease. We're seeing a pattern. She's unaffected by any of the usual hazards. Look at this footage. She's handling acidic rocks, standing at the edge of lava flows, and even inspecting active gas vents. It's almost as if she, Vereen, hesitated, glancing nervously at Calyx. As if she enjoys it, Calyx finished, with a slight shudder. On the monitor, Maya had paused again, this time crouching to examine a lava flow with her bare hand extended toward the heat, as if warming herself by a friendly campfire. Back home, we have vents just like these in Hawaii, she was saying, more to herself than to anyone listening. Ever been to Earth, Calyx? Calyx blinked, surprised by the casual tone. No, Dr. Rodriguez. I've only read your species reports, they admitted. Shame, Maya replied with a slight chuckle. Earth has a lot of, Deathworlder hotspots. Makes you appreciate places like this, though. She turned to the horizon, where the waves of lava met towering cliffs of blackened stone. Earth's volcanoes are nothing compared to this beauty. The communicator fizzled slightly, a result of magnetic interference. Before Calyx's cautious response broke through, I would call it something other than beauty. Dr. Rodriguez, if I may ask, why are you so at ease in such a hostile place? Pyrox 7's temperatures alone are incompatible with most life forms. Oh, it's all about adaptation, Maya replied brightly. Humans evolved to handle all sorts of extreme environments. You'd be amazed at the stories I could tell. Humans have lived through ice ages, mega droughts, superstorms, even survived volcanic winters that blocked out the sun. Calyx's mind spun, processing this information as he translated her words into the Pherillian scientific lexicon. They'd studied reports of Earth's climatic past, but to hear of it directly was something else. A species that had endured countless environmental catastrophes and adapted to thrive? How was it possible? Meanwhile, Maya continued talking. It's not that we're immune. Exactly, we just adapt quickly. Heat waves, cold snaps, you name it. We figure out how to handle them, and after a while, we barely notice. Barely notice? Calyx echoed in disbelief. Yeah, it's kind of like how we build a tolerance, Maya explained, reaching down to scoop a sample with a tool she'd pulled from her belt. The tool's edges glowed momentarily, reacting to the heat, and Calyx winced just watching it. You get used to tough conditions by working through them. So, Pyrox 7's hot? Sure, but once you've been on a few lava flows, it's honestly kind of pleasant. Calyx was silent, processing this. The concept of a creature that could adjust to extreme environments to such a degree was more than fascinating. It was profoundly humbling. This human, so nonchalant as she strolled through what they considered a hostile wasteland, was a testament to the resilience and adaptability of her species. Just then, Maya's voice came through again, but this time, it was markedly lighter. Hey, Calyx, I just realized I didn't get my morning coffee. Mind if I take a break once I'm back? Been craving some caffeine. Calyx's 4 eyes blinked, momentarily stunned. You mean you want coffee after this? She laughed. Of course, research stations like this usually stock decent coffee, right? Yes, but, Calyx trailed off, knowing they couldn't possibly convey the surreal thought of a researcher treating a day on Pyrox 7 like an ordinary day in the lab, with coffee breaks and all. As Maya started making her way back to the station, Calyx felt something shift inside. For the first time, they understood why humans were classified as Deathworlders, not because they were dangerous, but because they saw challenges as mere obstacles, simply part of the landscape they were determined to explore. An inquisition of curiosity. The next day, Calyx scheduled a meeting with Maya, eager to learn more about her perspective on extreme environments. The conference room was bathed in the bluish light of Pyrox 7's volatile atmosphere, casting strange, dancing shadows across the walls. Maya entered the room looking fresh, carrying a steaming mug of coffee, and offered Calyx a friendly nod before sitting down. Good morning, Chief Calyx, I hear you wanted to talk? Yes, Calyx began, still a little unsure where to start. They pulled up some of Maya's reports from her excursions. I have been reviewing your records and would like to discuss. Earth, your kind's resilience is both impressive and difficult to comprehend. May I ask how humans endure such conditions without special adaptational features? Maya sipped her coffee thoughtfully. Honestly, Calyx, we adapt as much in our minds as we do physically. We learned long ago that survival isn't just about physical endurance. It's about strategy, creativity, teamwork. We engineer solutions. We push our limits, build structures that protect us, invent tools that make dangerous places manageable. Calyx listened intently, nodding slowly as they absorbed this. So it is not just physical. You rely on intellect and adaptability to survive. Exactly. Back on Earth, danger can take 1,000 forms. There are entire fields of study dedicated to learning how to live with these hazards. In fact, Maya grinned. That's kind of why I'm here. We're always fascinated by new environments. Each one teaches us something valuable. Maya's smile faded slightly as she turned reflective. See, survival is something that's just ingrained in us. Earth has put us through a lot. Famines, diseases, natural disasters. Those things shape you. You learn not to take comfort for granted. Every environment's a challenge, a lesson in pushing yourself. Calyx was quiet for a moment, marveling at the depth of Maya's insight. This, he realized, was why Earth's inhabitants were so exceptional. They were creatures of curiosity as much as survival, a rare combination in the galaxy. I must say, Calyx murmured, it is inspiring to see a being who finds learning amid such adversity. You're not deterred by danger, you thrive in it. Maya's eyes sparkled with a grin. Well, you know what they say back home. Calyx, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I suppose that's as true for humans as it is for any other creature, if not more so. Calyx nodded thoughtfully, feeling a strange swell of admiration and perhaps even gratitude. Maya's presence on Pyrox 7 was opening doors for all of them, a reminder that even the most daunting challenges had something to offer. In that moment, Calyx resolved to learn everything they could from this Deathworlder and perhaps one day venture to Earth to witness the legendary resilience of humanity firsthand. A new understanding. Later that evening, Maya and Calyx sat together in the station's lounge, Maya nursing a mug of coffee while Calyx watched her with a mixture of curiosity and admiration. Calyx, Maya said, breaking the silence, I want you to know. I wasn't just being reckless out there. This world is dangerous, yes, but there's so much it can teach us, and honestly, pushing myself to those limits, it's how I learn. Calyx nodded, taking in her words, your resilience is remarkable. I have never seen anyone face such conditions with such ease, but why do you risk so much? Maya looked thoughtful, setting her coffee down. I think it's because humans have always lived on the edge. Earth has forced us to be this way. We learn by surviving, and we survive by pushing forward, even when it's hard. To us, a challenge isn't something to fear, it's something to conquer. Calyx absorbed her words, feeling a profound sense of understanding dawn within him. Then, perhaps there is more to learn from you than we ever imagined. Maya smiled, her eyes bright, and I think there's a lot we can learn from each other. You Ferillians, your caution and respect for the environment, your understanding of life and balance, it's inspiring. Maybe together, we'll find new ways to explore this galaxy without losing ourselves in the process. As they sat together, the warmth of camaraderie settled between them. On this volatile world of fire and stone, the human and the Ferillian had found common ground, bound by curiosity, respect, and a shared desire to understand the universe. And in that moment, Calyx knew that this partnership was just the beginning of a journey filled with endless possibilities. The Fury of Pyro 7. The morning passed with Maya preparing for her most ambitious trek yet, a journey into the volcanic caverns of Pyro 7. These caverns, known for their extreme temperature spikes and magnetic surges, were largely unexplored even by the Ferillian team, who only observed from the safety of their instruments. Calyx hesitated but ultimately agreed to let Maya proceed after ensuring she'd carry multiple tracking devices and emergency beacons. As she left the airlock, her communicator buzzed with Calyx's voice. Dr. Rodriguez, these caverns are prone to seismic shifts. If anything feels unstable, please return immediately. Got it, Chief, Maya responded brightly. I'll be careful. Well, as careful as I need to be. She winked at the camera, and Calyx felt a strange mix of anxiety and admiration. Her confidence was unshakable, almost unnervingly so. Maya activated her headlamp, illuminating the cavern walls, which pulsed with a deep orange glow. She crouched down, noting the crystallized mineral veins embedded within the stone. You'd love this, Calyx, she said through her communicator, describing the texture and complexity of the formations. These veins look like they've formed from millennia of volcanic pressure, probably a new crystalline structure altogether. Her voice trailed off as she adjusted her toolkit, getting to work with her sampling probes, the alien beauty of the cavern lulling her into a focused calm. But as she continued deeper, her scanners began to pick up slight tremors, the ground beneath her rumbled, and an eerie silence fell, broken only by the soft crackling of distant lava flows. Back in the station, Calyx stared intently at the readouts, tension written across his face. Dr. Rodriguez, I'm detecting increased seismic activity. You may want to consider withdrawing for now. Maya paused, glancing back toward the mouth of the cavern. She was just about to respond when the ground shook with a sudden, violent tremor, nearly throwing her off balance. A rumbling roar echoed through the cavern, followed by a deep crack that split the ground mere meters from where she stood. Her heart raced as she realized that the entire section of the cavern was shifting. Calyx, we've got a situation here, Maya called, scrambling back. Her voice was calm but urgent. I need you to keep track of the cavern's structure. Tell me the best exit path based on the seismic scans. Calyx's hands flew across the control console, pulling up the geological map. The main exit is compromised, but there's a secondary path to the east, he replied. It's a narrow passage, go quickly, but carefully. Maya began to navigate through the twisting passageways as rocks tumbled from above. The Ferillians, now crowded around the observation console, murmured nervously. Maya moved with purpose, but the tremors grew stronger. She tightened her grip on her toolkit, teeth clenched as she made her way through the narrow exit path. Suddenly, another tremor hit, a massive one. The cavern roof gave way, and a wall of molten rock cascaded down from above, blocking her path forward. Her communicator crackled with static as she gritted her teeth, eyeing the flowing magma with frustration. Calyx, the eastern route's blocked. Is there any other way out? Calyx analyzed the readings with a growing sense of dread. The data indicated that the only remaining path was through a vent zone, a corridor with extreme pressure shifts, where temperatures could spike unpredictably. Maya, there is one more route, but, Calyx hesitated. The temperature fluctuations are beyond what even you could handle. Maya took a deep breath. Define beyond, Chief. It could reach 1,500 Kelvin. The magnetic fields are strong enough to disrupt even the Ferillian shielding tech. There was a brief silence, then Maya's voice came back, calm and steady. Understood. Give me the exact route. I'll move fast. Calyx's throat tightened, but he relayed the directions, mapping out the shortest path through the vent zone. Maya moved swiftly, her breath steady as she dodged falling rocks and the spreading lava flow. The heat was intense, even for her, and she felt the sweat beading under her suit, but her focus was unshakable. As she approached the vent zone, her sensors flashed with warning after warning. Temperatures surged, creating waves of scorching air that distorted her vision. She gritted her teeth and pushed forward, her eyes locked on the exit. Back in the station, Calyx and his team could barely stand to watch the readings. Doreen leaned closer, her voice trembling. Chief, she's not going to make it. No one can survive those temperatures. Calyx was silent, his hands clenched as he watched Maya's figure on the screen, moving through the hellish vent zone with unwavering determination. The temperatures rose, and Maya's suit alarms blared. The heat felt like it was pressing down on her, each step like walking through fire, but she didn't stop. She took a deep breath, filling her mind with memories of the lava fields on Earth, of her team back home who had braved eruptions and scalding temperatures to uncover the secrets of the planet. Calyx, she gasped, her voice strained but determined. I'm almost through. Just a little further. Calyx's voice was hoarse with concern. You're almost there, Dr. Rodriguez. Just a few more steps, you can make it. With a final burst of strength, Maya pushed forward, staggering out of the vent zone. The air felt marginally cooler, and she took in a deep breath, her heart pounding. The path ahead led to the exit, an open passage that led directly to the station's airlock. Calyx exhaled in relief as Maya approached the station. We're opening the airlock, he said, his voice filled with a mixture of disbelief and respect. Welcome back, Dr. Rodriguez. The airlock door opened, and Maya stumbled inside, pulling off her helmet. Her face was flushed, her hair damp with sweat, but her eyes gleamed with a fierce satisfaction. She met Calyx's astonished gaze and flashed him a tired grin. Not gonna lie, Chief, that was one hell of a hike. Calyx felt a strange surge of emotion as he looked at her, admiration, awe, and a deep respect for the indomitable resilience she embodied. He had known that humans were a hardy species, but he had never imagined they could withstand this. Into the heart of Pyrox 7, days passed, and Maya's courage and some would say recklessness became legendary across the station. As Calyx observed her, he felt an unshakable sense of respect. Her resilience had not only impressed the Ferillian team but also inspired them, subtly changing the way they approached their work. Maya's curiosity was contagious, and soon, Calyx found himself wondering if there were even deeper mysteries on Pyrox 7 that they had overlooked. Then, a breakthrough came. The station sensors detected an unusual geothermal pattern emanating from the planet's southern hemisphere, deeper into the volcanic regions. These patterns hinted at a unique mineral deposit, one with molecular properties that defied all Ferillian expectations. Maya's eyes lit up at the news. Calyx, this could be the discovery of a lifetime. If those readings are accurate, it's worth an expedition. Calyx hesitated. That area, it's one of the most unstable regions on Pyrox 7, the tectonic shifts alone. Which is exactly why we need to go now, Maya insisted, her excitement unmistakable. This could help us understand volcanic structures on a whole new level, and I'll bet the Ferillian Council would find this research invaluable. Calyx felt his logical hesitations melting away as he watched Maya's resolve. Her enthusiasm was hard to resist. Against his better judgment, he nodded. Very well, but this time, I'm coming with you. No more solo missions. Maya raised an eyebrow, pleasantly surprised. Are you sure, Chief? Things might get a little intense. Calyx's eyes glimmered with determination. If we're going to brave the heart of Pyrox 7, we'll do it together. The descent. Their journey to the southern hemisphere was challenging. The Ferillians prepared a specialized research vehicle, one with reinforced thermal shielding that could withstand temperatures up to 1,500 Kelvin. Maya spent the entire journey preparing samples, adjusting equipment, and chatting excitedly with Calyx about Earth's volcanic activity, while Calyx prepared himself mentally for the journey ahead. As they reached the southern hemisphere, the landscape grew more treacherous, the lava flows more frequent and unpredictable, massive fissures in the ground belched sulfuric gas, and pillars of steam erupted skyward. The ground itself seemed alive, shifting and trembling as if it had a pulse. They set up camp near the edge of an active caldera, a large bowl-like depression in the ground with a glowing, bubbling pool of lava at its center. Even Maya, who had seen countless volcanic sites on Earth, was taken aback by its scale. Incredible, it's like standing on the edge of a planet's heartbeat, she murmured. Calyx, mesmerized yet cautious, activated his environmental sensors. We need to work quickly. The geothermal readings are fluctuating, and there's a significant chance of eruption. Together, they began their analysis, Maya eagerly collecting samples while Calyx monitored the caldera's seismic activity. As the hours passed, Maya's instincts began to take over, and she wandered closer to the edge, focused on a strange crystal structure forming near the lava. Calyx, look at this, she called out, her voice echoing across the cavern. It's like the mineral is growing straight out of the lava flow. I think it's absorbing thermal energy as it forms. Calyx hurried over, fascinated. The crystal was like nothing he'd ever seen, a dark red with translucent veins that pulsed faintly with energy. This mineral could be a new energy source, if we can collect a sample. Just then, the ground shuddered violently. Both scientists froze, looking at each other with mutual understanding. It was a sign that Pyrox 7 seismic activity was about to escalate. Maya, we have to leave now, Calyx shouted, grabbing her arm and pulling her away from the edge. They sprinted back toward the vehicle, but before they could reach it, the ground gave way, creating a massive rift that split them from the vehicle. A cloud of ash and heat exploded into the air, and rocks rained down, cutting off their retreat. Lava began spilling into the rift, blocking their path completely. Chief, we're trapped. Maya's voice was tense, but her eyes were sharp, calculating. But there's a way out, we just need to get past that ridge. Calyx hesitated, his instincts screaming to retreat, but as he looked at Maya, he found himself nodding. Together, they scrambled up the ridge, moving fast to avoid the burning debris falling around them. The two scientists reached the ridge's top, only to see the caldera erupt behind them in a fountain of lava and fire. The ground beneath them trembled as they hurried along the ridge, but Maya spotted a small cave opening up ahead. There, if we can get inside, it'll shield us from the eruption. Calyx nodded, following her lead. They reached the cave just as the ground behind them splintered, filling the air with the acrid scent of sulfur and heat. As they ducked inside, Calyx slumped against the cave wall, trying to catch his breath. I can't believe we survived that. Maya chuckled, brushing the ash from her suit. Just another day at work, right? Calyx managed a small smile, but his admiration for Maya was evident. You humans are astonishing. I've never seen anyone face danger like that and still stay calm. Maya grinned. It's all about perspective, Calyx, and teamwork. I couldn't have done it without you. As they waited for the lava to cool, they began analyzing the samples Maya had managed to collect, setting up a makeshift lab inside the cave. Hours passed, and as they studied the mineral's unique properties, they realized they'd discovered a previously unknown energy-absorbing crystal, something that could have massive implications for energy storage and sustainable power sources. Calyx looked at Maya, respect shining in his eyes. This discovery, it could change everything for the Phyrillians. It may even help us develop new technology to handle extreme environments. Maya's expression softened, and she nodded thoughtfully. That's what I love about research. The risks are high, but the rewards can be life-changing. And sometimes, just surviving the journey is a reward in itself. As they shared a moment of quiet reflection, they both knew that this was only the beginning of a lasting partnership. The resilience they'd seen in each other, the respect they'd built, would take them far beyond the boundaries of Pyrox 7. Epilogue, a new mission. Back at the research station, the Phyrillian Council quickly approved additional funding and resources for further exploration of Pyrox 7. Maya and Calyx, now regarded as pioneers, were chosen to lead a joint Phyrillian human research initiative. Together, they prepared to explore even more dangerous environments across the galaxy, driven by a shared passion for discovery and a trust that had been forged in the heart of a volcanic world. And as they stood side by side, Gazing out at the fiery landscape of Pyrox 7-1 last time, both Maya and Calyx felt an undeniable truth: no challenge was too great when curiosity, courage, and friendship were their guiding stars. The end.